Welcome to Ab Initio, Anupama.
Thank you, Pooja. I see someone has raised a hand. If you have any comments or questions, please put it in the chat and Pooja will respond to it. So thank you everyone for being here. I am going to be sharing my screen, and again, if you have a question, put it in the chat if you are on Zoom, or you could put it in the comments on YouTube Live. I am very excited to be here. I know Pooja has been bringing in speakers and adding value to educators. When we talk about educators, it is not just teachers. It could be a parent who is educating their child, or you could be an aunt or uncle. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you are really adding value to someone, you are an educator. That's what I define educators as. And that goes with leadership as well. I am a leadership coach, and we believe that leadership is influence. And you'll hear a little bit more about it because I'm going to be talking from one of the books that is written by my mentor, John Maxwell. I am part of his team, and the book that he has written is Becoming a Person of Influence. So let me share my screen, and Pooja, if you can just confirm you could see the screen, I will get started.
Yes, we can. We can
Cool.
see.
Awesome. Let me just do one more thing. All right. I like to have my faces in front of me so I know I'm talking to someone rather than just to a screen. So let me start with asking a question. Do you recall when your parents would tell you to stay away from certain people because they were a bad influence, or not go to certain places in order to avoid potential problems? The places we go, the things we do, and the people in our lives influence who we are, what we do, and the results we get. Things happen daily that have some level of influence on us. Now, along with actions and words influencing us, there are other things that influence us. So each one of us possesses the same power of influence on others through our actions and our words. One very simple form of influence is a smile. When we smile at people, they will smile back most of the time. Saying hi to someone influences them to say hi back. Berating someone with harsh words typically solicits a hostile response. Someone honks at us in traffic, which can influence us to honk back or flip them off. Well, with some words maybe or something else. No matter the situation or event, influence is in play at some point every day of our lives. So the first guarantee that I want to give you today is I want to let you know that I'm going to give you something that you can apply to your life right away. I have the privilege of sharing with you one of the greatest skills that has helped me grow and develop as an individual. So when you leave this session today, you're going to have something that you can apply inside your home, at your workplace, at your school, at your college, no matter where you are. That will make a difference in your life. The second guarantee I want to give you is that not only am I going to give you something you can use right away, but should you like what you hear today, I'm going to give you the opportunity to continue on further. So at the end of this talk, if you would like to continue learning about this, just reach out to me and connect with me on LinkedIn. You see, a lot of things that I'm going to talk about today, I'm sure you've heard before. A lot of these things I know I have heard before, but see, those are the most dangerous words on the planet. I've heard that before. So today, as I talk, what I would want to encourage you to do is to change that verbiage in your mind. When you hear something that you've heard before, don't ask yourself and say to yourself, I've heard that before, because your mind will shut down. But ask yourself, how well do I do that? How well do I do that? Because then your mind opens up to receiving what you're hearing and seeing how you could make a change in your life. Because the biggest gap in most of our lives is between what we know and what we actually do. So let me get started with sharing with you a 3-minute talk that I had given recently in Orlando on an international stage. And it relates to what we are going to be talking about. So that is why I'm sharing this with you. So let me just play that video for you, and hopefully you can hear it and see it.
16 years ago, my mom visited us from India for the birth of my son. My youngest son, Daniel, was born in October. My mom was to stay with us for 6 months. On Christmas Day, my mom received a phone call from India. Her youngest brother just passed away. My mom was the oldest of 7 children, and she decided to go back home and spend time with her family. As I was bidding her goodbye at the airport, my mom gave me a beautiful smile. I wondered and I asked, "Mommy, how can you smile on such a day?" My mom told me, "The smile on my face does not mean my life is perfect. It means I appreciate what I have and what God has blessed me with." I remembered those words for a very long time. 2 years ago, I received a phone call from India. This time, it was my sister on the other line. She said, "Our mom just passed away." I turned around and my son Daniel was looking at me. I had a smile on my face. Daniel asked, "Mommy, how can you smile on such a day?" I remembered my mom's words and I said, "The smile on my face does not mean my life is perfect. It means I appreciate what I have and what God has blessed me with." I might not understand everything that happens to me, but I know I can control what happens in me. Thank you.
All right. So why I wanted to share that particular speech, which I gave this August, is to let you know that all of us are going through different things, but a smile will make such a big difference. So if you are not one of those like me, this is my picture in my school days in 2nd grade. That's me at the corner. I grew up without much of a smile on my face. I grew up thinking I will only smile if I feel good, right? Because it was for me. But now I realized that my smile is really not for me. It is to make others' day brighter. And now, if you see me, I smile quite a bit most of the time. There are days when I still don't feel like smiling and I would not go out of my house, but we all are influencers. This is when I was in college. Again, I am right here, and you don't see much of a smile on my face. I started smiling more after I got married. Now I am in US, and I've been here for 25 years. I went to local school, local college, and then I got to go to IIT Bombay to do my master's in mathematics and computer science. Through my education, I was able to get selected to work for a company like Tech Mahindra. It used to be called Mahindra British Telecom. And they sent me to Belfast, Northern Ireland to work for British Telecom as a consultant. Then I came over to US and became a consultant in IT here. How was I able to do all that? I believe it was because of my teachers, my parents, those who educated me and told me the importance of education. So I really admire all of you who are in the education field, because you might not realize, but what you are doing is making such an impact on so many others. Today, I can tell you, I am impacting and influencing so many lives through just speaking about different things that I have learned in my journey. And that's because of my teachers who pushed me and prompted me to learn when I really did not want to study any further. So thank you, first of all, for doing what you're doing and continuing to do it with grace. And today, I hope I can add some value to you so that you can add more value to others. My journey here in US was with IBM for almost 10 years, and then I worked for MetLife in New York City. I live in New Jersey. We are about 30 minutes away from New York City. And then I worked for TIAA as a agile program product manager, program manager. While I was working for TIAA, my job or my contract ended, and I decided that I wanted to study further. And that's when I went for my program management certification, PGMP, through the Project Management Institute. And I am so glad that I did that, because that is when I came across John Maxwell and his YouTube video. So, Pooja, what you are doing and what you are offering on YouTube can reach many who you don't realize, because if John Maxwell had not put his video out there, I don't know if I would have found him. I did not know he existed. I know he has about 85 books, but I was not one of those avid readers. When I was studying for my certification and getting bored reading a book is when I went to YouTube to search for leadership videos, and one of them turned out to be John Maxwell's. So I decided to join his team, and I met him in March of 2019, and I got certified as a speaker, trainer, and a coach, and I've been on his team since then. Now I serve on the President's Advisory Council of the Maxwell Leadership Team. We just rebranded recently. I am offering mastermind groups, which is like group discussions, doing training and workshops. Again, I'm sharing all this just to let you know that even after I left school, college, my education continues, because I am a continuous learner, just like my dad taught me to be. And these are pictures showing you that I'm still being mentored, but I also mentor others. So I've been going and speaking to students, to teachers, and one of my mentors was the former president of the John Maxwell team. He said, when the light goes on in your life, you want to turn everyone else's light on. And that's how I felt. I felt like that light just went on in me when I started studying John Maxwell's books and material. And I wanted to tell everybody about it. So I'm going to ask you another question. Who do you influence? You know, on the Maxwell leadership team, we define leadership like this. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that's contrary to what tradition says, because popular belief is, even if you go to the Webster's dictionary, they define leadership as a position, place, office, or title. So for the most part, majority of the people that I speak to don't believe that they are leaders unless they have a title or a position. But you see, we define it as influence, nothing more, nothing less. And John Maxwell has been teaching about leadership, influence, personal development around the world for over 40 years. He is such a prolific author that he has written well over 80 books. Many of them are bestsellers. And in fact, he's one of the only 5 authors worldwide to have 5 of his books go platinum. He has had a huge impact on the lives of many, and one of the life is mine. So I wanted to give you a better understanding of what influence is, because now I want to talk about how to influence, how you can increase your influence, and how you influence will determine how far, how many, and how long you will actually lead. So I want you to think about the person who's had the greatest influence on your life, the person that's made the greatest impact on you and helped you go further and helped you go faster. I want you to think about that person. And when you have that person, I want you to keep that person in your mind. When I ask this question to myself, my mom comes to my mind. She's the one, I would say, who had the biggest influence. Yes, my dad had an influence, my teachers had an influence, but the first person that comes to my mind is my mom. And she was a stay at home mom, or as we call in India, a housewife, right? But she has had such an influence on me, and she's the reason that I decided to do my education at IIT Bombay, because I was one of those who was ready to complete my bachelor's degree, get married, have children, and just settle down. But my mom had a vision bigger than what I had. And I'm so glad that I followed her advice and did go for my exam to get selected to be one among the top 25 in India to be studying for the master's degree. So I want to explain influence in this way using a leadership compass. See, it's very rare that someone's hand goes up where when I ask who influenced you, who had the greatest influence. It's normally somebody at home or in your neighborhood. It could be your teacher, it could be your friends that we interacted with. It's influence, and what I want to remove from your mind is it is people who have a title. So when we think about it from the impact that we are having, what I want to do for you today is I want to help you understand influence a little bit better and help you increase your influence with others. And it starts with you. We need to make sure that we are able to lead ourselves first. We call it self leadership. The first question you have to ask yourself is, would I follow me? If there's not a resounding yes to that question, then we have got some serious work to do. So we must always, always, no matter you are a teacher or a parent, we must always work first, hardest, and longest on ourselves before we can influence anyone else. So I applaud you for being here because you are doing what you need to increase your ability to be able to influence others in a positive way. So if we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead anyone else. It's real simple. It starts with simple things. It starts with simple things like showing up on time. You show up on time with a smile, what happens? What happens when you smile at someone? They smile back, right? Just as I was sharing in my story. My mom smiled, and now here I am smiling back. Even though she's not here on this earth, I plan to continue that legacy. You show up on time with a smile, with a good attitude, and you can shift the attitude of other people, right? Attitudes are contagious. You see, we have to lead ourselves first before we can lead anyone else. And that's what we call self leadership. Then we have positional leadership. That is the lowest level of leadership. Now, you might say, how could this be the lowest level of leadership? You see, people follow you because they have to, not because they want to. If you take away the paycheck, you let them clock out, and once they're out the door, your influence may go from an 8 to a 2 in a heartbeat. And why is that? Because at this level, when you only have their paycheck to hang over their head, people follow you because they have to, not because they want to. So this is what we call the leadership compass. So if you draw a line starting across from the east to west, that is what we called the peer leadership. This is a lot higher level of leadership than the positional leadership. Why? Because at this level, people follow you because they want to, not because they have to. That's why it's a higher level of leadership. It takes influence to get them to follow you. And what Pooja is doing here with educators, I believe, is peer leadership, because she is trying to influence other educators. And this is a great way for us to get started. Now, this is a level that we commonly miss as something important and think that why would I do anything to develop the relationship with my peers? I mean, we are in competition, aren't we? Well, no. Here's the question I always ask of every single one of my coaching clients. If you get promoted tomorrow, how will your peers accept you? Who will follow you and who won't? So every single day, you need to be looking for how can I begin to influence and develop my relationships with my peers. So peer leadership is a line that goes from east to west. Now, if we draw a line straight to the north, that's what we call influencing the influencers. Now, this is the highest level of leadership, because at this level, there is no reason whatsoever for them to follow you. You have to have a track record. You have to have a proven reliability that you do what you say you will do, and there's some results behind you as well to show. There has to be consistency there. But when you begin to influence the influencers, now you begin to make a difference. So I would say I am one of those who who has been influenced by Pooja, and she is influencing the influencers because I am not one of her peers. I was impacted by watching her do what she's doing for the past, I think, for a few months. I don't remember when you started it, but I have been seeing how you have been bringing value to others, and that is what we call influencing the influencers. So influence is not about position. And we have to understand that we can influence more people if we are more intentional about it. So when we get the opportunity to lead, it's a small window of time to showcase our influence. It's a very small window of time. You see, all that is when you get a position is an opportunity to showcase your influence. If you are a good leader, your influence will expand. If you are a bad leader, your influence will shrink. If you understand the fundamentals of influence, your leadership will stand out. Well, your leadership will stand out even if you stink, but not in a good way. So, all the position does is an opportunity to showcase your influence. It buys you a very small window of time. So, the time to learn to lead, to develop your influence skills, isn't when you get the position. The time to learn is now. And we all, let me just take a sip of water. And we all have a platform, even if you don't think you do. You have a social media platform. You have influence with others. You have people that look to you in certain situations. They follow your leadership. They follow your voice. They follow your words. We have the ability to shape the way other people think, feel, or respond to life through our communication. We are all given a platform. People give you permission to speak into their life. You influence more people than you realize. Well, sociologists tell us that most people will influence 10,000 others in an average lifetime. Yes, you heard it right, 10,000 people. And that's not just people in sales or heads of companies. That's the average person. That's you and me. In other words, every one of us, even the shy, introverted ones like me, are influencing others. Think about that. The average person will unintentionally influence 10,000 people in their lifetime. And the average person tries to influence about 4 people a day. So, whether you know it or not, you are influencing people right now. There are people in your life that look up to you. The decision you must make is whether your influence is going to be positive or negative. How many people could you impact if you start using your influence on purpose? So, what I want to ask you to do today is get started with what we call becoming a person of integrity. Choose today to live by a strict moral code and determine to stick with it no matter what happens. Some people can be bought because they haven't settled the money issue before the moment of temptation. So, the best way is to guard yourself against a breach in integrity is to make a decision today that you won't sell your integrity, not for power, revenge, pride, or money, any amount of money. If you consistently do what's right in the little things, you are less likely to wander off course morally or ethically. Zig Ziglar, who is a well known speaker, has said, when you do the things you have to do, when you have to do them, the day will come when you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. A big part of integrity is following through consistently on your responsibilities. There are different methods of influence. We have all faced different stages of influence in our lives. And the most common way that I see inside workplaces is by intimidation. This is my way or the highway. Now, this worked many years ago. It didn't work effectively, though, and it works even less effectively now. We now live in a culture where that's not going to go over very well. It's not going to be tolerated for very long. It's not going to get you the results you want in the long run. Here is what you have to understand about my way or the highway policy. If you go with the my way or the highway, well, you are going to have people who are going to be disappointed. They are not going to want to engage anymore. They will step back and go quiet and do their own thing if you go that route. So then, how do you influence better? By respect, right? If we respect others, then they will start being influenced by us. We don't need to go with do it just because I told you to do so. So let's look at the 4 stages of influence. So influence functions in this way. So level 1 we talk about is modeling what they see you doing. If they perceive that you are positive and trustworthy and have admirable qualities, then they will seek you as an influencer in their lives. That's level 1, modeling. Second is level 2, motivating. When you encourage people and communicate with them on an emotional level, it creates a bridge between you and them. It builds up their confidence and sense of self worth. When people feel good about you and themselves during the times they are with you, then your level of influence increases significantly. Let's look at level 3. Level 3 is mentoring. To increase the impact and make it long lasting, move up to the next level of influence. Mentoring is pouring your life into other people and helping them reach their potential. Help them overcome obstacles in their lives and showing them how to grow personally and professionally. You help them achieve a whole new level of living. And the level 4, the last one, is multiplying. The highest level of influence you can have in others' lives is multiplication level. As a multiplying influencer, you help people you are influencing to become positive influencers in the lives of others and pass on not only what they have received from you, but also what they have learned and gleaned on their own. And that's where I want to be. I want to be able to have influencers who are going to influence more people. And I want that for you too. And that is one of the reasons I love connecting on LinkedIn. If you are not connected to me, feel free to reach out and connect and tell me how you came across me. I would love to get connected to you because we can influence each other positively and we can multiply influencers. So the 4 levels of influence is model, motivate, mentor, multiply. Those are the 4 M's. So keep that in mind. And as we talk a little bit there is 10 ways that you can increase your influence, and that is given in this book, Becoming a Person of Influence. I'm just going to briefly talk to you a little bit about one of those 10 ways. So let's get started with what is the way that we are going to be focusing on today. See, you can be a model to the masses, but to go to the higher levels of influence, you have to work with individuals, right? At modeling level, it is you can do things and people will be influenced, and you don't really need to know who they are, and you might not know who they are. But when we get to the motivating, the mentoring, and the multiplying level, you need to really work one-on-one with others. Let's look at where does the point of different ways of increasing influence come into the picture. So when the first one is becoming a person of integrity, I mentioned a little bit about integrity. That comes under modeling. Then is becoming a natural nurturer. That comes under motivating. And what we are going to talk about today, becoming a believer in people or have faith in people, also falls under motivating. So today we are going to focus on how to influence others by becoming a believer in people or having faith in people. So let me ask you a question again. When you hear have faith in people, what comes to your mind? Why don't you put it in the chat? And Pooja, if you can read some of those comments, that would be great. When you hear have faith in people, what comes to your mind? Anyone?
Okay, Didi says must have trust first.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan Oliver, if I'm pronouncing it right, says mentorship. And Aisha mentions hope.
Hmm. Yes, when we talk about having faith, all those words and pictures come into our mind. Uh, just to have you see some pictures, because to me, when we have pictures in front of us, it helps us remember things better. So the first three ways of increasing influence was integrity, nurture, and faith. I'm specifically going to refer to faith as belief in action. A person of influence have faith in people means they believe that that person is going to be able to do something. Well, Niagara Falls is something famous here in US. Niagara means thunder of waters, and it's an awesome sight. Every minute 12 million cubic feet of water drop a distance of about 180 feet over the edge of the falls, and its total width, including Canadian and American portions, measures more than 31,000 feet. And it is rightly called one of the natural wonders of the world. Well, I don't know about you. You might have heard about certain legends and certain stories about people going over the falls. One of the greatest legends of the town was about one of the first person, actually first recorded person to survive going over the falls, was a school teacher, Annie Edson Taylor, who in 1901 successfully completed the stunt inside an oak barrel, and this is a picture of that. And one of the greatest legends of the town was a French acrobat. His name was Charles Blondin, who lived from 1824 to 1897. He crossed over the entire width of the fall on a tightrope in 1859. And then it was amazing to see and hear about he going across the falls with someone on his back. Imagine that. Who would have agreed to do that? It has to be someone who trusted and had faith in Charles Blondin. And that was actually his manager, according to the legends and the uh, research that I have been able to do. That's what we are talking about. We are talking about ensuring that when we are having influence, we are having faith in people. It is in people that we can trust. And when I did my first half marathon, I was a couch potato and did not go out much, but I was able to complete my half marathon in 3.5 hours because I trusted others who had done it before me and coached me to be able to do that. Let's look at some facts about faith in people. Don't have Most people don't have faith in themselves. Most people don't have someone who has faith in them. Most people can tell when someone has faith in them, and they will attempt the impossible if you demonstrate faith in them. And most people will do anything to live up to your faith in them. And this is my two boys, my oldest son and my younger son. He was able to do this because the younger one had faith in the older one, and same goes for the older one. He knew that the younger one would follow the instructions and not fall flat on the sand. That's what we are talking about, having faith in people. It is an essential quality of an influencer when you're working with others, and leading requires a lot of faith and trust in people. So I want you to know that what you are doing is going to have a lot of people believing in themselves because you are going to believe in them. I want to also just tell you a small experience that I had, which told me how important it is, especially for teachers, to have faith in the children. Most people can tell when someone has faith in them. The goal here is to get them to think more highly of themselves and not you. My son Daniel decided to play baseball because his older brother had faith in him and nurtured him. And most people, as we said, would do anything to live up to your faith in them. Put a 10 on people's head, and when you first meet people, they will come up to your expectations of them. In my son's school, most of the teachers do that. Everyone in class gets a 100 when they start a marking period. And as the weeks progress and assignments are given, they lose a point if they do not complete them on time, or else they remain a 100. And kids love to keep up the grade, and they strive to remain 100 or pretty close. My son ended up with all A's in his marking period when his teacher first gave him the 100. When he was going from 0 to 100, it was a little bit of a struggle for him because he realized that that's a long stretch. So the question that I have for you is, how can you help others have faith in themselves? Faith is a gift that leaders can give. Faith is in their vision, and great amount of faith in the people, then they can pull it off. So have more faith in people even before they are able to show you that they can accomplish things, because faith is belief in action. And when it comes to leading, three things we cannot possess, that is fear. If we are afraid of people, we cannot confront them. Then is dislike. If we dislike them, we should not lead them. And then is contempt. If we look down on people, we will not value them. So faith is more than thinking someone is true. Faith is thinking something is true to the extent that we act on it. And if you want to help other people and make a positive impact on their lives, you have to treat them with that kind of confidence, right? And become a believer in people, because it is important for you to become a believer. Even the most tentative and inexperienced people can bloom right before your eyes if you start believing in them. And treat your children with that kind of confidence. The question might be, how do I do that? Encourage your children and communicate with them on an emotional level. Understand your communication style and the personality type of you and your children. And I use DISC personality assessment as a tool. I'm certified as a DISC trainer, and you might ask, what is DISC all about? Well, again, connect with me on LinkedIn and reach out and let's have a conversation, because it will give you a picture of how to communicate with different types of people, how to start believing in others. Just like some of you might have heard the story of David and Goliath, right? He was one of those, as a young boy, he had fought with the lion and the bear. And when he had to fight a giant, he brought his past wins into to his mind before he approached the king, saying, I can do it, because you have to believe in yourself before others start believing in you. So you can go from here knowing that you are making a difference, and believe in your children before they succeed. Emphasize their strengths, praise them for what they do well privately and publicly, because they definitely want to know that others are aware of everything that they have done, and list their past successes. Everyone wants to feel important. I know you and I want to feel important. And this is how you become a believer in people. If you see, it starts with a BEL. The next letter that you will see is an I, because this is an acronym for the belief. So how do you become a believer in people? Instill confidence when they fail, because failure is part of life. They have two choices. They can give in or they can go on. And some will try again in order to succeed, but some will collapse at the first sign of trouble. So you need to give them a push and inspire them. You need to keep showing your confidence in them, even when they are making mistakes. And one of the ways is sharing your own failures and how you overcame the obstacles to succeed. When they realize that you have failed and still managed to succeed, they will realize that it is okay to fail. John Maxwell has a book named Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. That book is in different versions for kids, for teens, for adults. So it is not enough that failure is part of moving forward in life. To really become motivated to succeed, people need to believe that they can win. Winning is motivating. And never let the fear of striking out get in the way. The next is experience some wins together, visualize their future successes, and expect a new level of living. So those are the let me put all of them together so you can see the believe acronym. So believe in them before they succeed, emphasize their strengths, list their past successes, instill confidence when they fail, experience some wins together, visualize their future success, and expect a new level of living. If you would like to take a screenshot of this, go ahead and do that, because I want you to become builders of people, and you can do that by believing in others. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions for me before we wrap up.
That was amazing, Anupama. I thoroughly enjoyed it and learned a lot. Any of you, if you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself and share your thoughts, or if you have any questions.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Yes, it was a lovely presentation and a lovely webinar. And I would have, thank you very much for sending me a direct message on LinkedIn. Feels like a privilege to be here. I did attend the early 1 or 2 sessions or webinar, but then in the middle, I used to, sometimes like I mentioned in the early of this webinar, like, it's on Saturday or Sundays, but it's very lovely. And to hear your life, and so sorry about your loss. But it was very lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your words.
Thank you, Aisha. Anyone else? If you have any question, you can unmute yourself and speak, or you can put in chat box, or if you have anything to share your thoughts. Yeah, please. I know I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Gitinaulova. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone. Thank you for you actually pronouncing the name right. You're trying. I give you that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our presenter. I mean, this session has been really informative and motivating to say the least. I've learned so much from this session. Thank you so very much. I mean, this is something we must all, learn and key into as influencers in each of our respective spaces and in whatever capacity we have been called to serve. We always have to deal with people, and so it is always very important to learn how to deal with them effectively. I mean, I learned this aspect of smiling so little. But I'm glad I learned at all. I always am this, frowny type.
Uh-huh.
I when I use it to mask a lot of things,
Yep.
like, okay, it's not really like that. So I understand that a lot of people that actually frown
Mm-hmm.
or that look so unhappy, it's not because they are really unhappy, it's because they use it to mask a lot of things, probably insecurities or things about themselves that they don't think should come out to the open, or they don't think people should get to know about. So I changed that deliberately when I met someone that, was able to influence me positively, someone I look up to, and did a great deal of job, correcting that deficiency in me. And then I started smiling more, and I smile for no reason now, like, and that's made me a better person. So when you were
Yes.
talking about the power of smiling, the it's an habit of highly infective people. Thank you very much for this session. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share something? Maureen, you have anything to say? Didi?
Well, I like to leave people with an action step. So, what I want to tell you is pick 2 or 3 people to encourage this week, this month. Send each person a short note and make yourself accessible to these people. Give them your time without expecting something in return. And the end of the month, examine your relationships with them for a positive change, and you will see that it will make a tremendous impact on you. Uh, Pooja, if there are no questions, I have one other video that I think will leave a lasting impact on all of them
Yeah,
who are
please,
here and watching. So I can share that.
please go
Yeah.
ahead.
All righty. Do you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. John C. Maxwell.
See, as we can see, if you lead yourself better, others will follow. And people want to know, do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? And all this is taken from this book, Becoming a Person of Influence by John C. Maxwell. So I would really encourage you to take a look And there are YouTube videos on this talk as well. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. It was truly a pleasure being here with you. And I hope to be connected with you. And if you are one of the YouTube fans, there is a channel my youngest son has started, and this would be a great birthday gift for him. He just celebrated his birthday this week. If you have children, they will love to watch some of his trick shots that he has done, and he's trying to be a positive influencer. So I would really appreciate if you can have your kids or yourself subscribe to his channel, which is called Speed D. Thank you very much. Pooja, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks a lot, Anupama. As I have already mentioned, this was an amazing hour that we spent. And thank you so much for accepting the invitation and volunteering and being here. I hope many more teachers definitely will watch. And I know teachers are change makers. I think your words and whatever we spoke for an hour now, everything is going to reach many ears and many hearts. Thank you so much. I would like to have you again and again on my session. And this was so amazing. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us and joining in.